When WWE officially transitioned to the PG era way back in 2008, the product itself drastically changed to a less edgy and more family-friendly content, but every so often, they like to go back to the TV14 glory days with promos that would make us fans go,
I don't even know if that's PG!
Today, let's look at the best non-PG promos in WWE during the PG era. Drew McIntyre gives himself an interesting nickname. During the last Raw of the 2021 draft, Drew McIntyre came out and challenged Big E to a WWE Championship match. But before they could finish, the two men were rudely interrupted by the Dirty Dogs. The pair started bickering with each other over a thank you, and Drew made a sly remark about how him and E were both Ziggler's former partners.
You've upgraded from the both of us.
Big E then says that the only thing they owe him is an ass whooping, so he goes on and asks,
Two of you dirty dogs against me, Big E.
but before he can finish, Drew butts in and says,
Me, Big D.
Big E's face when he heard this was priceless. Even more hilarious was Drew breaking character and smiling as he said the line. He knew what he was doing. Yeah, sad to say this nickname did not stick, much like the Banger Bros. Roman Reigns is tired of the same position. In the build-up for their anticipated match at SummerSlam, Roman Reigns cut a scathing promo on his challenger, criticizing Cena for doing the same tired old shtick for over a decade, and that if he wanted this, all he had to do was to search online for 2005 John Cena. And then he drops possibly his best line ever, saying,
like missionary position every single night.
It was so out of nowhere that fans were shocked when they heard this. The man just compared John Cena to let's just say an intimate position on live television of all places. The tribal chief wasn't finished though, as a few weeks later when they finally met face to face in the ring, he would hammer down this line and even name drop Cena's ex-fiancée, Nikki Bella.
Plus years of missionary might have been good enough for you, but it wasn't good enough for Nikki Bella.
This just goes to show just how much Roman has grown in the promo department from their last encounter, where he got embarrassed by Cena on the mic. Next up, The Miz Has Tiny Balls. On a June 2022 episode of Raw, the It Couple were at it again hosting an episode of the infamous Miz TV, dubbed the Premiere Edition, as a way to celebrate the season premiere of Miz and Mrs. All was going well until Matt Riddle came out and crashed their gloating session. Riddle talks about missing his tag team partner Randy Orton and wishes that he'd come back unlike his stepdad, which cracked everyone up, but it's kinda sad though actually. Anyway, The Miz was clearly not happy about this and he mocks Riddle saying that Randy's career is over and now he's all alone now, but Riddle tells him to shut up and cuts a promo on Roman. He also says that while his bro John Cena is playing Peacemaker, The Miz was playing Homemaker while his wife drags him by his
Tiny balls.
The Miz was dumbfounded by what Riddle just said, and even worse, the crowd also started chanting. Maryse tries to come in aid of her husband but she manages to mess it up further saying,
Just so you know, my husband is average balls.
Realizing she screwed up, she goes back and hypes up his man's things even more. From average to above average to massive, huge, the biggest in the world. And then Riddle shouts,
Prove it!
Spoiler alert, The Miz did not get to prove it after all. And to this day, everyone still thinks he has tiny balls. Triple H can't stop looking. A few days before his title match at Survivor Series 2008, we see the then WWE Champion Triple H backstage about to be interviewed by Eve Torres. But as Eve was trying to ask him a question, we see that the game seemed oddly fixated on the diva's chest area. Hunter was so intrigued by this, so to speak, that he asks if those were real, which she confirmed it is, and then proceeds to compliment how big and round it is. He then asks,
Can I touch him?
What?
touch her pearl necklace. Yup, just that. Something tells me he would have had a lot of explaining to do to a certain McMahon if he was referring to something else. Austin Theory must have liked this bit a lot when he was a young boy, as he would be part of a similar segment 13 years later. On a 2021 episode of NXT, the North American champion at the time, Johnny Gargano, had some issues with William Regal's recent decisions, so he decided to barge in the general manager's office along with his protege, Austin Theory. As Johnny goes on to rant to Regal, Theory seemed to be focused on a bigger problem. This is of course Scarlett's nails, which were so huge that he got baffled if they were even real or not. Fair play to Theory though, this is probably what a lot of us fans were thinking of as well. About the nails of course, and nothing else. Indi Hartwell overshares her activities with Dexter Lumis. One of the highlights of NXT in 2021 was the love story between Indi Hartwell and Dexter Lumis, or Index as they came to be known. During a backstage interview, Indi was asked if her hubby was watching tonight. Indi confirms and says that she dedicates her victory to her sexy Dexy, but she might have gotten carried away as she went on to talk about the more explicit details.
Can't get out of bed. The 2 boxes of...
Unfortunately, former tag team partner Persia Perota cuts her off before she could finish. But we all know there's a lot of fun being had in the Gargano household. If you enjoyed the video, it would really help me a lot if you give it a like and subscribe, as it lets me know that you like this kind of content. Charlie Caruso likes what? In 2016, WWE introduced us to 2 post-show series for their main brands in Raw Talk and Talking Smack. These talk shows were a great avenue for wrestlers and their hosts alike to express their thoughts outside the confines of a normal WWE segment, giving it more of a work shoot style realism, so it's no surprise that we'd sometimes get some unscripted gems like Miz's outburst on Daniel Bryan. Other times, there would also be things spoken that are simply just not PG at all, and one such instance of this was with Charlie Caruso during a February 2021 installment of Raw Talk. As Damian Priest was talking about his relationship with Bad Bunny, R-Truth would call Priest by his initials, and Caruso with the quote of the year would say,
DP, I like that.
Yeah.
DP.
R-Truth's reaction says it all. It turned rated R real quick, like our boy Xavier Woods. And then R-Truth hilariously diffuses the situation by saying that she gets confused sometimes. But on this night, Charlie Caruso turned Raw Talk into the Caruso with this one-liner. She wasn't the only one who made the internet explode with inappropriate one-liners though, as Daniel Bryan did it first on Talking Smack a few years back. While still not being cleared to compete, Bryan was placed into various roles in WWE, one of which was as a host for Talking Smack. In one of its earlier episodes, Daniel Bryan decided it would be a good idea to talk about fists and said this.
I was like, man, SmackDown is really into fisting.
Tell me, he didn't just say that.
Yeah, Renee Young definitely did not expect that. Bryan would later reveal on an interview that he did it on purpose as a way to try and get fired by WWE so that he could wrestle again. It didn't work, but hey, it turned out well for our favorite yes man. They even kept the continuity. Alexa Bliss makes an offer Balor can't refuse. Back in 2019, Alexa Bliss had a brief stint as a host of her own segment in A Moment of Bliss. While it was mostly just your run-of-the-mill talk show, Bliss really made it more entertaining with her antics.
From what I've heard, you have a very large...
One of which was when she had the Intercontinental Champion Finn Balor as her guest. While speaking to Finn, Alexa would make a very flirtatious observation, saying that his title was unfortunately covering up, and I quote, his beautiful abs. So, Little Miss Bliss makes a deal that he simply can't refuse.
You show me your abs, and I'll show you.
But, in one of the worst moments in WWE ever, Leo freaking Rush's music hits before Alexa could finish what she's saying. Corey Graves pretty much summed up what everyone was thinking at the time.
Go away, Leo! Go away!
While it's unfortunate that we'll never know what Alexa Bliss was going to show Finn Balor, John Cena might have an idea.
Boobies.
Speaking of John Cena, at WrestleMania 35, Cena would once again bring back the Doctor of Thugonomics. Check out the full history of that gimmick here, and interrupt Elias during his live performance. The Doctor of Thugonomics verbally undressed Elias off-rip, calling him a wasted wrestling experiment and a piece of shit zoo. The best part was when Cena says they call him the Golden Shovel, so he's about to bury Elias's push, and drops an absolutely not PG line with,
"Your face looks like my nuts, except you got a hairier bush."
As if the verbal embarrassment wasn't enough, Elias gets beat up by John Cena and gets an FU for good measures. Man, even though Cena didn't have a match at this WrestleMania, he ended up making a bigger impact with this short segment. Now let's take a look at a more serious entry on this list. During a contract signing for the Divas title match at Survivor Series 2015, Paige and Charlotte Flair had a heated war of words. Charlotte cuts an emotional promo saying how she'll continue to fight like everyone in his family, and mentions her brother, Reed Flair, who had just passed away 2 years prior. In order to get more heel heat though, WWE decided for Paige to deliver this line.
Cause your little baby brother, he didn't have much fight in him, did he?
This was a very tasteless move on WWE's part, and Paige was clearly uncomfortable saying this as her eyes were red the whole time, possibly from trying to hold back the tears. CM Punk embarrasses John Laurinitis. Back to a lighter tone, in 2012, CM Punk and John Laurinitis, who was the GM of the Raw at the time, had a months-long beef with the two trading verbal jabs at each other. One of the best segments they had together though was during the game cover reveal of WWE 13. John Laurinitis comes out and brags about his win over John Cena at Over the Limit. He then reveals the cover of the game to be himself. This prompted the voice of the voiceless to come out to the ring with a look of disgust in his face. Can't blame him though. He makes fun of Laurinitis, comparing him to Pac-Man while saying,
Yourself nor Pac-Man have any testicles whatsoever.
Punk then reveals the true cover of WWE 13, which was one of the best ones ever, might I add. Let me know in the comments which one's your favorite. Much to the dismay of Laurinitis, Punk delivers the finishing blow and makes a subtle innuendo by saying,
I've never got to tell you this face to face, but mine is a whole hell of a lot bigger than yours.
Oh, it's true. It's damn true.
Needless to say, Mr. People Power got owned on this night. Next up, the one that started it all. You can't make a list like this without including the OG catchphrase now, would you? On a fateful January 2012 episode of Raw, Wade Barrett came out and blabbered about the Royal Rumble, which frankly no one cared about, especially R-Truth, who at this point has fully embraced his crazy comedic role. Talks about how he went to Disneyland and goes on to show a presentation of his trip, which was freaking hilarious. And then the moment that changed the wrestling landscape forever happened. R-Truth says that he met Pinocchio, who told him that Wade would win the Royal Rumble. Obviously, we all know by now what happens to Pinocchio when he tells a lie, which prompted Truth to deliver the now infamous line,
I don't even know if that's PG.
Little did R-Truth know that this line would forever be used by us fans when something inappropriate happens in WWE.